Hi, welcome to Go with Yin Yoga, and this Yin Yoga practice for your whole posterior chain, which is the back of your body, all through your spine, through your hamstrings, your knees, your ankles. We're going to get into all of that in a few moments. And if you'd like to set an intention, which I encourage you to do, now is a great time. I'm going to suggest one word, surrender, or the Sanskrit, which stands for surrender, Ishvara Pranihana. And I actually have many practices on that. I think surrender is important. I'm going to share this quote with you. The creative process is a process of surrender, not control. So just let that sink in as you come to an easy seated position and gather up your props. I am going to suggest a bolster for today's practice. You're really going to need a bolster or a couple of blocks or rolled up blankets for one of our poses. It's a relatively short Yin Yoga practice today, roughly half an hour. I have a tendency to go over. Go ahead and come into that easy seated position. Relax your forehead. Allow your whole face to soften. Relax your jaw. Maybe open your mouth just a little bit. And allow your shoulders to soften. These are all areas that we frequently hold a lot of tension. And sometimes when we allow our breathing to slow down, when we take our attention to our breath, into those areas, we can begin the softening process. And just continue breathing in and out through your nose. Maybe with your eyes closed. So I really love that quote I shared you. And I boiled it down into just these few words. Surrender to get stronger. That is what Yin Yoga is all about. And not just physically, emotionally as well. But it takes practice. It takes time on your mat, like anything worth doing. It takes practice and time. Feel your spine elongate, making more space between each and every vertebra. Maybe visualize roots either coming out of your feet or maybe from your seat. Going down deep, deep, deep into the core of the earth. Keeping you secure. You need that stability and that security as we move from one season into another. Today's practice is also an earth element practice where we are focusing on our spleen and stomach meridians to help us move from winter, which is very, very yin, into spring, which is very, very yang. Okay, go ahead and blink your eyes open if they were closed. Come on off of your seat if you were seated. Come onto all fours. You may want a prop or several props in our first posture. So feel free to grab one if that feels right in your body. And come into that tabletop position. And inhale, bring one leg forward so that you are in a low lunge, or what is known as dragon pose in Yin Yoga. And above here, if you're not familiar with dragon pose, I have a short practice, I believe, that will show you variations for dragon pose. I know I have something that shows you variations anyway. And as you move through this practice, I'd like you to ask yourself where you can surrender. You might want a little padding under your knee. You might even want to have your back leg onto a little bit of support, maybe a rolled up blanket. And there are a lot of variations of dragon pose that you could choose to take. And you may want a couple of blocks to put your hands on too if it's taking you out of your surrender by having your hands on your mat. Maybe you want to go a little deeper. Maybe you want to come down onto your forearms. Maybe you need to back off a little bit. Last couple of breaths here. And then slowly push into the palms of your hands. Bring your hips back and begin to straighten that bent knee, coming into a half monkey pose. This is what we call a counterpose in Yin Yoga. So tension often builds up in those long holds that we have in Yin Yoga. And bringing your body into a shape that works an opposite muscle, although we're not really aiming at muscles, that can just help counter that tension a little bit. And a counterpose generally is held for a brief time. And begin to drag that front leg back, so you're back into your tabletop position. Inhale. Step forward with the opposite leg. This Yin Yoga practice does not have any rebound poses. Oh, normally I'd have my back leg a little bit further, but Bandit's in my way. That was just an interest of time. Move my front foot forward a little bit. You can have that knee a little bit forward. You don't have to. So no rebounds, but counter poses. And you can always put in your own rebound by pausing the video and taking a 1-minute rebound. That lets you feel the sensations that have come up while you are surrendering into your Yin Yoga pose. Dragon pose is a really great stretch, quote unquote, for your psoas. It's an area of our body that tends to get really, really tight. And because we sit so much. Last couple of breaths here. And then slowly reach your glutes back. Straighten that front leg, flex that foot, and come into half monkey pose. And slowly begin to drag that front foot back. Taking a pause in tabletop. And just notice any sensations you may have. And then grab some blocks or a bolster, some rolled up blankets. Slowly come onto your back. Soles of your feet on your mat. Take your bolster horizontally across your mat, or place your blocks horizontally. And go ahead, if you're using a bolster or some blankets, go ahead and come on top of them, or at least try and come on top of them. I'm going to have to scooch forward a bit. I can tell that already, so that you guys can continue to see me. And then just slowly begin to come down onto your elbows. And then all the way onto your back. So you're in a supported bridge pose. If you're not using a bolster, you can use some rolled up blankets. And of course you can use a couple of blocks underneath your sacrum. And just allow yourself to surrender into the pose. Forget about trying to control it. And just notice where that takes you. Now that we've been in the pose for about a moment, maybe you want to grab another block. Maybe you want to raise your hips up a bit more. But remember, it's never about how deeply you go into the pose. It's about how deeply the pose goes into you. Bernie Clark is a really well-known Yin Yoga teacher who's been teaching for decades. That's from him. And basically he's saying, don't try and go as deep as you can. Don't force it. Don't control it. Surrender. And last couple of breaths here. Go ahead and press into your feet to raise your hips. And remove your block, your prop, hopefully. Set that off to the side. You may want it later in our practice. Inhale, press into the soles of your feet. Actually, before that, go ahead and bring one leg in towards your chest and then the other, wrapping your hands around, your arms around your legs wherever they reach. So you can brief pause in wind pose. And release your legs. Press into your feet, lift your hips, and over towards one side. Doesn't really matter which side. Inhale, bring your knees in towards your chest. Exhale, allow them to fall over away from your body. You can bring your hands into a T so that your arms are coming straight out from your shoulders. You might want a little propping underneath these legs. You stay just like that in the supine twist pose. Another option is to take the arm that is reaching out on the same side as your bent knees and take it around your body in what's known as a bind, and take that other arm back into a goal post. So you're bending your elbow and the hand goes straight up towards your head. And last couple of breaths here. And let both arms be in goal pose. Unwind your feet so your knees are pointing up towards the ceiling. Take the feet out a little wider than the hips, and let the knees fall together and your hands come down by your side. And this is called constructive rest pose. If you prefer to be a little more active in your counterpose, you can do windshield wipers, where you have the knees apart and they fall from side to side. And go ahead and bring your feet closer together, press into your feet, raise your hips over to the other side. Inhale, take your knees in towards your chest. Exhale, allow them to fall over to the opposite side. Arms can come out in T. An option to take that bind and go post arms with the other arm. And as you are softening into your supine twist pose, maybe you notice all the points on your back that touch your mat. Excuse me. Maybe even envisioning roots coming from your back body, going down into the earth. Last couple of breaths here. And then slowly unwind until your knees are pointing up towards the ceiling again. And take your feet out as wide, a little wider than your hips, and allow those knees to fall in together. Taking a brief rest in constructive rest pose. And from there, go ahead and stretch one leg. Excuse me. Down toward the bottom of your mat, and then the second leg. Moving into your Savasana, as I will hold time for you. And also, this is a great time again to revisit that intention that you may have set at the beginning. Obviously, I offer to you surrender as a theme. Also, the fact that we are strengthening most of your posterior chain, the back of your body, the back of your legs. Intention can be whatever you want it to be. And take your arms out a little bit from your body. Slightly tuck your chin. Close your eyes if it's safe and comfortable for you to do so. Just be. I want to read the quote that I shared with you at the beginning of this practice. The creative process is a process of surrender, not control. And that was from Julia Cameron, by the way. And I boiled that down into surrender to get stronger. That's what we're doing today. I also want to mention that coming up in a little, sometime in March, I hope, I will be doing a little mini class on the wood element, which is the element of spring. You may have noticed a lot of phlegm. I have a lot of phlegm right now, not nearly as much as my husband. Very normal at this time of year. You know, we have all those heavy, warming, moisturizing foods during the winter months, and we need to have that. We build up this layer of fat. If we don't start moving from those heavier foods to those lighter foods as we move from winter into spring, a lot of phlegm has to come out somehow. And sometimes it comes out in colds, knock on wood, not so far for me, but you never know. So that's just a little food for thought there. You can continue to relax in Savasana, or you can come up to a seated position in your own way and in your own time. I want to share a little meditation / visualization with you. It's quite short. And you can just lay there in Savasana and receive, or come to a seated position and perhaps close your eyes and receive. And bring your attention to your breath again. Breathing in and out through your nose. Imagine those roots growing down into the earth so you feel very safe and very secure. So the earth element is associated with anxiety and worry. And I'd like you to take all those anxious thoughts and those things that you are worrying about and put them into a glass jar that has a top that goes on top of it. And take your time. Think about the things that are causing you anxiety right now, that are causing you to worry. These are always things that are focused in the future. They're not what's going on right now, although it feels like that's driving the worry and anxiety, but worry and anxiety is always about what is going to happen. And that unsuredness, we don't know. So take all those worries, take those anxious thoughts, put it in a jar. And then either throw it from the top of a mountain and just let it all go, or place it into a large body of water or ocean and watch it drifting away. Watching them, all those thoughts, all those future worries and anxieties just drift off. Can you surrender your worries and your anxious thoughts? How would it feel if you were to surrender those worries? I just want to share this other little tidbit on, I don't know when you're watching this, it could be years from now, who knows. But as it's being shared with you, the following day, I'll release this on a Sunday, the following day is a Monday, it's my mother's 97th birthday. And I will not lie, the last few years have been filled with all sorts of worries, not only about her, but there's that. There's that too. There's anxieties and worries around my mother. If you are dealing with elderly parents, I feel you. It's hard. Even your loved ones sometimes don't really get how hard it is. Maybe you don't feel super supported by them. So this is a visualization you can use anytime that worry and anxiety is building up. It can be about a totally different subject, something to revisit. You can journal about what it would feel like to surrender them, how you would feel. And if you haven't made your way up to a seated position already, feel free to relax in Savasana for as long as you'd like. But otherwise, come back up into a seated position. Inhale, take the palms of your hands together in front of your heart center, slightly bowing your head. May you be healthy. May you be happy. May you be free from pain and suffering. And may you allow yourself to surrender to get stronger. And begin to blink your eyes open. Allow your hands to fall onto your lap or onto your knees. Thank you so much for joining me today. So much gratitude to you. I hope you are giving yourself gratitude for making this time. I know it's not easy. If you enjoyed this practice, please go ahead and click the like button. If you'd like to practice with me again, go ahead and subscribe and click the bell. Right about now, you will find an option for a short surrender meditation. It's about 12 minutes long, and you don't have to do anything, just stay tuned, and that should play for you. Go ahead and have a wonderful day. Surrender physically, surrender emotionally. Know that what will happen is going to happen, and worrying about it and feeling anxious about it isn't helping anyone. As tough it is to let that go. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.